Hello and welcome to the June 2019 garden tour. The garden is truly spectacular and beyond my wildest dreams right now, so I want to make sure I share it with you so you can see all the different things that are in bloom. The peonies are out as well as there are still some lilacs, so I'll take you through it and please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it and let me know if there's other things that you'd like me to cover off in future videos. So let's start it off by just panning up the camera so you can see all of the trees, most importantly, all of the beautiful baskets that are looking amazing right now. So I don't know what they're going to look like in the next month, but this is how wonderful they look right now. And the reason I say I don't know what they're going to look like next month is because all of the yellow that you see in those baskets are pansies and Johnny Jump Ups or violas, and they won't last through the heat. So I do like the yellow, and unfortunately they are going to change a little bit. So let me walk you through and tell you what's in the baskets. In this particular one, in the lighter color, you see the Vista Mini Silver, and you see in the purple that is Vista Bordeaux, and in the back it's Vista Fuchsia, and those are all pretty little pansies. And I missed this plant when I was watering earlier on today, so you can see it has a bit of heat exhaustion, so I'm gonna have to make sure that I do a good job of coming back and giving him a good soak after this video. This particular arrangement, which I just adore, it is same plants, although it almost looks like that's Vista bubblegum in the back there because it's lighter than the fuchsia, as well as the mini silver and the Bordeaux. But with the flower that you see in the front here, this is actually Gara. And it was recommended to me by the guy at the garden center, and he was bang on with his suggestion. Those flowers, they move in the wind. You can see them just ever so gently, and they really are a showcase flower in terms of a thriller at the top. Right here in front of you, what you see is the Cascading Red Bud. Last month in the video, it was all filled with beautiful pink flowers, and now it has beautiful heart-shaped leaves. And at the bottom here, you can also see that we have all sorts of incredible hydrangea. There's 3 of them on each side of the deck, and they're going to fill out. Also, right in front of you is a Korean dogwood, or it's a Kusa Dogwood, and I'm hoping that this year it blooms because we did not get blooms last year. Here over in the feature basket, it is a similar planting in terms of the actual colors. So we have the Bordeaux, the mini silver, and then I have a couple of other things that are different in this particular arrangement. Obviously it's much more intensely planted, but there is also a sweet potato vine, which is really waiting for some good heat for it to put on additional growth. The pink flower that you see growing up the vine, that is a mandevilla. It's a very pretty plant, and it will go right up the obelisk. I also have all sorts of daisies down here, as well as this nice big pink one. And then in behind it are all of the peonies. They are absolutely beautiful this year, guys. I am so happy with them because we did not have any blooms here for the last 3 years. When we lost our English walnut tree, it brought in a lot more sunlight, and now we have a beautiful show of the peonies again. So there is an upside if I ever saw one. Let me just spin the camera around a little bit here so you can see. This is the entire new garden that was built last year. And the tree that you see on your right hand side is an ivory silk lilac, and it will smell beautiful, kind of like honey. Give you a view back up the deck. You can see all the arrangements as you go back up, and you can lightly hear the fountain. And then over here our Spanish lavender is still doing exceptionally well, and I really do love the color of that blue pot with the purple. Very, very pleased with the color selections for this. I'm just going to back up so you can see it from this angle. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Those little white balls are going to be filled with lights. The pink table is still looking good. I have a little pink daisy sitting on the top of it. And you can also see my little bird there sitting in the back. It's just a metal statue, and we leave it out all year long. The hostas are doing extremely well. This is a brand new condition for them, being in the full sun, but they seem to be okay with it. I'm seeing that there's a little bit of sun scorch on this particular blue one right here, but right now these hostas are at least double the size that they have been in other years. So let me walk you through. The Japanese maple is beautiful. I love the contrast of the purple with the lamb's ears, which is that nice plant that you see in the front, and then all the hostas underneath it. Here's the gate from a different perspective. So you can see how that beautiful ivory silk lilac is just strategically positioned so that it's a bit of a showstopper right now. And you can see this brand new garden that we planted last year, and I'm particularly pleased to be able to show you that the brand new peony that we planted has bloomed. So that's one of the 4. And look at this beautiful Rosa Rugosa. Clearly the trick for this plant is to not trim it. Every year that I don't trim it, I get a better show. Particularly love how it's actually grown inside this euonymus. Just the color combo is just beautiful. The white flower that you're seeing right here is a garden heliotrope, and it smells beautiful. It smells like vanilla. So coming back over here, yes, we grow weeds extremely well here. Back in the deck, the far deck here, we have in the baskets, we have a Vista fuchsia and a Vista bubblegum, and there is a white mandevilla that will go up with that obelisk. And you can see this is a nice shaded area for us to be able to sit in at different times of the day. I'll just take you in the back, show you how well things are looking back here. I set this up. We used to have our compost pile in the back right there, and I put these little arrangement here just to fill that in. And in these baskets here, that is a tiger lily, and we have a beautiful little dry creek here because right at the back is a culvert that the field behind us drains into. This is a brand new garden that we just planted. We put the contents of that compost bin, we put it in this garden, so these hostas are loving this new spot. These hostas were from under the English walnut, and they were overwintered in pots sitting in that poor little dry creek all winter and not very well looked after, and I'm so delighted to see them all come back. So over here we have a 9-bark, and it's blooming, and it sits underneath a honey locust. I love the dappled shade of a honey locust. And then as I bring you over here, you can see this beautiful iris just catching the sun there. It's a really lovely, lovely color. Here's that white mandevilla, and it's going to go up that whole obelisk. We do have bird baths for the birds, and we get quite a number of birds that are coming through to enjoy it. And this is the service berry. I know it looks like this is all weeds here, but this is actually forget-me-nots, and you need to let them go to seed if you want to have them propagate. So I'm just letting them sit like that for another week or so, and then we'll pull them out. But here is the service berry, or Saskatoon berry, as it's known in Western Canada. And then we actually have berries on it, which is very nice. I wasn't expecting that because I was told I needed 2 plants for that to happen. So just another little arrangement of chairs and plants. These chairs need to be replaced. They're actually, I would call them more of a design feature than a safe sitting area. So don't expect to see them in too many more videos. And these are the 3 obelisks that open up, and I'm going to be able to put new things in them, and it's particularly looking at lighting for them. Last year I planted this tricolored beech, and it has really grown an awful lot. But more interestingly, at the bottom of it, this is probably the best show I've had on this rhododendron in years. So all of the rain that we had seems to have done really well for the plant. And the Columbines are just beautiful. In the front yard I have all sorts of peonies, so I'm just going to walk you over there. But before I do, I'm just going to give you one sort of last view of the deck or the gate. Let me walk around to the front and just quickly show you what's going on there, and then I'll loop back and show you the top of the deck in a moment. Here's another combination of plants that we have by this next archway. It is a black-eyed Susan vine with a fuchsia, a black-eyed Susan vine with a fuchsia, and then tuberous begonias and this other plant, which I really like because it has this beautiful purple on the back. So just walking along, this is where we always grow our vegetables. And I ran out of time before I went on a trip and just threw a whole bunch of radish seed in here, and I planted far too heavily, but the leaves are actually quite tasty, so I've been eating them. And you can actually see that I have some rosemary, and this is a mojito mint, a regular mint, and more lavender, and more radishes. And then we have tomato plants, beans and peas, and also the nursery of all of the succulents. All these succulents were overwintered at my dad's place, and I'm hoping to be able to put them into an arrangement fairly soon, or I may just leave them like that if I decide that I just don't have enough time. But I do really like them. As we come into the front yard, you can hear a plane, but more importantly, you can see columbines. These columbines have all self-seeded. What I love about them is all the different tails on them, the different colors. Look at these ones, the dark blue or purple. Look at this variegated color. And right there you see the Tough Stuff mountain hydrangea. It has grown a lot, as well as the black elderberry, and you can see that there is a bloom right there, and all of the new growth comes out green. We cut these right back, so it's actually quite a lot of growth that you get out of an elderberry every year. And let me just show you the piece de resistance. Look at these beautiful, oh, my shadow's in the way. Let me just see if I can get out of the way. Peonies. Oh, so beautiful. Let me walk you over here. And right in front of my car, we have some darker peonies that were from my mom and dad's house. Their yard has flooded, and unfortunately they've lost all of the beautiful peonies that were there. So I'm really happy to be able to have a couple left, and my dad came over and took pictures so he could see them. They're probably, that plant is almost 100 years old. Sharing plants allows us all to keep plants alive. Here's some more beautiful peonies. And then up at the front here, I have a couple of different arrangements. This is the only time that this area gets sun, so it is very much a shade-based arrangement in all of these. Here's some beautiful fuchsia. Look at the color. And I just have the pansies, some impatiens, and some begonias in here. And then over here on this one, these ones are absolutely huge. They're just at the end of their life. And I expect that there will be more growing out of that plant soon. There's the black-eyed Susan vine, as well as some more Johnny Jump Ups. And then again, same here. And it's a slightly different combination when it comes to the colors. And there we go. By touching it, I just dropped it. I'm just going to turn the camera slowly. And I'll take you into the side. I have all sorts of driftwood in here. And this is a beautiful thing of succulents that I got when I was in BC and was able to bring them back on the flight. You may not be able to see it yet, but all of this clematis is going to bloom. Those are going to be beautiful purple flowers. You can see just one at the top there. It's going to be quite lovely. Now, just before we head into the back, years ago when I was on a garden tour, I saw a side garden and I thought it was just the most beautiful thing ever. So this has always been my dream, to have all sorts of peonies sitting on the side of the garden like this. We had to cut back our purple smoke tree significantly, but it has revived itself and is looking amazing. And then along here, a nice shaded area. This gets the morning sun. And we have all sorts of hostas that just grace the side of this area. I do have some little baby succulents that I'm growing. And in another month, I'll take you through more of the succulent story here. Because, as you can see, I have some more hens and chicks that are actually waiting for arrangements. So next month, we'll actually spend a bit more time on some of the arrangements that I make. You can see I do repeat a lot of the plants over and over again. This is black-eyed Susan vine with a trailing creeping Jenny, as well as some impatiens. And then as we go through this archway, we head just back down into the backyard here. We have more hostas. And it's like one of those things, as you come around this corner, that you actually start to see the full display of the garden and all the different layers and rooms that are located in here. I'm just going to take you up on the deck. So you can see what it looks like. This is the view that I have while I drink my coffee every morning. Quite lovely. So let me just turn the camera one more time so you can see that I have more up here on the deck. Just going to come around. What you're seeing right here is the herb tower. And the herb tower at the top, I have things like tarragon and a curly parsley and some chives. Next layer down, I have a curly leaf lettuce, as well as a darker version of romaine. And I really love the leaves and the variegation and the contrast of those. There's also a variegated or lemony flavored thyme and nasturtiums. So you can eat the nasturtium flower as well as the leaf. It's very peppery. Down here we have some oregano. And in here we have some lemon balm. Lemon balm is just a beautiful herb to put in a jug of water with some lemon, and you can just serve it as very refreshing. Here I have just a couple more of the succulents that I had put inside all winter. And you can see this one does have a little bit of winter burn. or sunburn from being inside during the winter. So I'll have to figure out how I manage that going forward. So just giving you a view. This is what we see from inside our kitchen. And what you're hearing is our fountain. And beside the fountain, I have two arrangements. And it is Vista bubblegum with a mini tut grass. There's a king tut and a mini tut. This is the mini tut. The mini tut grows 18 to 24 inches. The king tut grows 4 feet. So you want to make sure you get the right version if you're putting it in a planter. We did it last year and we were really pleased with how the arrangements all came together. And then over here in the far corner, I have a bit more herbs. I have a couple of different kinds of basil. I have a micro basil, which is fantastic for culinary uses, just to sprinkle on food. And then we have regular basil, which most people use for pesto. And then over here, this is a Thai pesto or Thai basil. And then we have these succulents that I overwintered. And then I have 3 different types of sage. And then over in the bigger pots, we have more of the Vista Bordeaux and the Vista Fuchsia. And then up in the upper pots, we have different types of geraniums. And you can see in the back there, you can see that other deck that we already visited, and behind it is the dry creek. So just bringing you back over so you can have one final view. I'm actually going to walk forward because the lighting I think will be just a little bit nicer if I try to get around the table. So you can just see how lovely this looks. So you can just sit here and have a coffee and enjoy the garden, or a glass of wine, whatever your vice is. It's a beautiful spot to sit and reflect and to feel so grateful for the abundance. I am absolutely delighted in the way that all of the arrangements have come out. I hosted a high tea here just last week, and it was a bridal high tea, so it was really nice to have the garden at its absolute peak. And I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in the months to come as the arrangements change, because they will change with that yellow being taken out. All right, thank you so much for dropping by in June. In July, we'll show you more of the succulent arrangements, and we'll show you what's in bloom, if anything, at that time. All right, take care now.